So today we will talk about the most favorite topic of all the students, because every time I talk to them about lighting, what comes to their mind will be volumetrics, God ray, how to achieve God rays and this type of stuff in lighting. I'm not sure why this comes to their mind first. But yeah, we'll go through in Maya how to actually achieve them. Okay, so we'll have two parts in this session. So first part, we'll just use a simple spheres and we'll go through how to actually get all these volumetrics God rays. Then we'll open up a scene that we previously had and we'll try to input in the scene, and we'll go through how to actually effectively use them, because once you add all these volumes to your scene, it starts to be heavy, and how we can use render pass to only make sure we are rendering all these volumes in a separate pass instead of our main duty. Okay, cool. So in case you don't know what are God rays or volumetrics, so all these are the examples, like when the light shines through some clouds or some pattern which break up the lights, and it gives you all these different light shaft. And yeah, I think most of you that wants to know what is God ray, you probably already know what is God ray. So I will just go through how to achieve it in Maya. Okay, so first I have a simple scene with just a sphere. Okay, so okay, we can just usually we will just create our own area light, and okay, let's just look through. Okay, so say normally you have this lighting. Okay, let's just work with exposure of 10. Just do a render. Okay, mine has the environment already set up. Okay, let me just break connection. Okay, so technically by default you should be getting this if you do not have any atmosphere in your scene. Okay, so what you guys need to get it, all this atmosphere is go into your render settings under Arno renderer, scroll down, there's this environment, okay, atmosphere, and you click on it, you get this create AI atmosphere volume. Okay, you click that. Okay, you can go to attribute editor. Okay, so by default, if you create it and you render, you'll see nothing, right? Because the default value of the density is 0. Okay, so of course, you adjust the density based on your scene, and just an advice not to start with 1, because 1 basically means it fog out the whole scene. So I'll just do a test render of 1 and you guys see what happens, right? So basically it's filling up the scene with a lot of atmosphere. So let's just try 0.01 to render, so you get something like that. Okay, so how we can get some patterns on this volumetrics to simulate those God rays. First, let's say this spread is too much, we can tweak the spread. Then we can get a slightly smaller spread. Yep, we can design it however we want. So we can use the spread to adjust it. We can change the softness. Okay, so that is one way you can do it. And another way is people like to use the native lights, the spotlight, to do it. So let's say I will do this, and if I were to look through my light, okay, I will do something like that. So basically I point the light from the other, let me just, okay, another direction. Okay, and then let's just give it an exposure. So just scroll down the spotlight. Okay, and then let's just work with 10, see how it looks. Okay, so again, it gives a very different feel from the area light. So really depends on your shot and your needs. You can use different lights to achieve that different look. So same thing, if you were, so let me just keep it on. So if you were to tweak your, for example, your cone angle, you can change how your spotlight looks. And then again, your penumbra angle, you can change, and then of course the fall off. Okay, so these are the very basic to get a basic look on your volumetrics, but how do I get even more details inside them? So what I can do is we'll go into the spotlight, scroll down, there is this light filter. Okay, click on add, and there's this gobo. Okay, so gobos are basically like slide maps that is mapped onto your lights. Okay, so what you can do is you can go into gobo. Okay, you can see that slide maps we can input in a file or any, probably you can generate any noise pattern if you want, or any custom pattern that you want to get this volume to look like. But for now, this example, I will just use the noise probably. Okay, so now once you see I put in a noise pattern onto this spotlight, you see that it gets different. Basically, the noise breaks up the light, and you get different shaft of light. And then what you can do now, you can play with the amplitude, the ratio to get the different look, or even you can go into the noise pattern and you can say animate the rotation. Okay, and let's say you want to do something fancy, you can set keyframes and you can animate this. Basically what it does, it will rotate the volumes to give it some movement to it if you need it, or you can scale up or down. Let me see, can rotate UV in the noise. Yep, you can increase the frequency if you want, so it has more of the shaft. Yep, so again, all these are very I mean creative decisions that you guys will make, but these are the basics. Okay, let me just add another one. So so for example, this is not what you want. You want something that is really very prominent, like just a few shaft like that, or yeah, something that is very prominent. Okay, what we can do is we can okay, I will create another spotlight. Okay, look through selected. Okay, you guys shine from the back. Okay, so this is the, maybe I'll just hide the first two so it's not so confusing. So this is the light that we just created. Then first we give it the exposure. Okay, then okay, wait, is this the light that we just created? No, I think it's this one. Okay, so let's just do a test render, nothing. Okay, edit exposure. Okay, so so say we want very defined streaks of light, we can same thing, use the gobo. Okay, and we can, in the slide map, we can choose say the grid. Okay, so now if we were to render, we get this. Okay, we can increase exposure to see it clearer. Okay, and then if this is too much, you can go in and you can you probably can adjust the scale if you want to get some different patterns, but you can also go into the grid, you can tweak the width. Come on, you can tweak the width and the to get a different look from it. As you can see, when I increase it, the look of the volume changes, and you can decrease the contrast to make let's say you don't want so graphic look on your volumes, you can soften it by decreasing the contrast. And then yeah, again, all these are creative decisions that you guys will make for your shot specific, so I probably will not go into details on all this. Yeah, probably you'll just play with all these attributes and to get the look that you want, and you can see it casts these negative shadows on from the ball, which is cool. Okay, so H. Okay, so these are some ways to create all these volumes in your scene. And one thing to note that once you added this atmosphere into your scene, every light that is in the scene will be affected, including your environment light. Okay, so if I were to create an environment light now, like Sky Dome, and if I render, the whole scene will be blasted with the atmosphere. So what we need to do is we need to make sure we know exactly which light we want to contribute to the volume. Okay, for example, in this case, my environment light, I don't want it to be contributing to the volume. What I can do is I will select the environment light, go into attribute editor, okay, go down to visibility, and there's this volume, just turn it off. Okay, so now if I were to render, oh, let me just turn off the camera visibility as well. Okay, so now our camera visibility is because I don't want to render the light itself, and the volume is to make sure that it does not contribute to the volume. Okay, so let's say I don't want this area light to be contributing to the volume. I'll select it, go to volume and turn it off. So now you see that it does not contribute to the volume, but it still lights up the sphere. Okay, so that's the basics on how to create volumes in Maya. Okay, so now I will just open up a scene and show you guys how to use it, let's say in proper shots. Okay, so again, this should be very familiar with you guys. The previous demos are all based on this scene. Okay, so we have our character pass, and okay, let me just turn off this first. Okay, so now we have a scene, and let's say, okay, I will just do a quick render before I move on. Not this. Okay, so for example, this scene, I want to add in some volumetric to help give it some different mood. So say I want to add in the first one where he walks into that pool of light. Okay, so I will use, okay, so now like I said previously, we will need to go into environment and we'll add the atmosphere volume, and we'll go into the attribute editor and give it some value. So let's just start with 0.01. Okay, so now if I were to render, my scene will be blasted with volume because all the light, the existing light in the scene, it's contributing to it, right? So now I don't want to do it that way. So I want to create a custom volume light just for the volume. So that way I will not mess up the shaping that I have on my character, and I also can creatively position the volumes however I want. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll go to all my lights and I make sure I turn the volumes to 0. Okay. Okay, I'll do a render. Okay, let me just save a render. Okay, you'll see that it just looks like my normal scene without any volumes, even though the volume is activated. Okay, so next what I will do is I want to add shaft of light on top of him, like he walks into this spotlight on the top. Okay, so I can create my spotlight. Ouch, did I create the wrong one? Create light, spotlight. Okay, I'll just scale up. Okay, rotate it 90 degrees down. We can go into the channel. Minus 90. Okay, and we will put it on top of. So I already cut some holes from the ceiling so that I can get my lights, my volume lights to shine through. Okay, let's say I want it to go like that. Okay, and I want to put it outside. Okay, so first I will just give it some exposure to start off. So I'll go to Arno and we'll put exposure of 10. Okay, so we do see some volumes, but it's very broad. Okay, we'll just push it higher so we see what it's doing first. Okay, so we get this volume like now. Okay, so okay, it's not very nice. So what we will do is I will adjust the cone angle. Okay, Okay, maybe I'll reposition it slightly so it's more to the left. Okay, then I want to increase a bit of fall off and a bit more. Okay, that's too more. Okay, so it just makes him look like he walks into this shaft of volume. Cool. I think that's pretty cool. Again, we can then fine tune the exposure, say maybe something like that. So about -3. So we go into exposure, change to 12. Okay, we can refine. Now it's too little, maybe 13. Okay, all these should be used very subtly, unless you see like a lot of students they push it very obvious. That it makes the whole image looks very fake. So you can just all these are just are there to complement your likes. It shouldn't be the main focus. You don't want people to just look at your volumetric. You want your audience to look at your character, right? So I can add some colors to them even. Okay. Okay. So it makes it more interesting. Maybe this is from a spotlight from the top that shines down and it has this color. Okay. Then we'll go into light filters and we'll add in some. Let's just try to get some patterns and breakups on this light because now it looks very flat, right? It looks not so interesting. So I will try a noise. Okay, there you go. You get some breakups on that light. Looks pretty okay. Okay, yep, cool. I think I'm okay with that with the default settings, so I think it's fine. But I want to use this opportunity to also introduce IES profiles, basically your photometric light. So inside Arno lights, there is this photometric light, which will require you to have an IES profile, right? Why I say I want to recommend it because if with an IES profile, you get an more stylized volume, more details in your volume because in the IES profile, it actually has the patterns within the lights and that pattern will contribute to how your volume will look. Okay, I will just show an example. So now this one, I'll just save this image. Okay, I will hide my spotlight. Okay, my IES profile, I created one, which, okay, at the top. Okay, I'll pull in, let me just, give me a moment, I'll find my IES profile. Okay, here. Okay, IES profile. Okay, let's just choose one, say define diffuse or define spot. Okay, just choose one. Okay, then again, of course, we need an exposure for it to work. So just put 10 first. Okay, we'll save this image so we can compare later. Okay, so you see, you probably can't see it much because you don't see the core. Let me just choose a different one. Diffuse, define diffuse. Let's try. Okay, see, every time I change the profile, I get a different look on the 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 look of the volume changes. Okay, so I just need to choose one that looks nice. Let's just try a soft arrow. Okay, okay. Probably you don't see much of the contribution here because we are cutting off the light and the light is outside. I'll just use the sphere scene to show you guys the difference. So photometric. Okay. Okay, let's just hide the rest. Okay, let's just put in just try cylinder narrow. Okay, where's render? Okay, okay, probably is too dark. Okay, you do see that it has some more details within the volumes. Okay, let's just try star focus. Then if I expose up this, that's too much. but you do see a lot more details in the volume, right? Okay, so that's the kind of details you can achieve with IES profile. So maybe you have something that you really like and you can use it to get the kind of details in your life. So maybe that star focus looks pretty good. I'll just use it for now. Okay, it's too dark. Okay, so it really looks like a spotlight from the top. Okay, so now say I'm happy with this, but I want to populate the scene with a bit more because it cannot be only this part of the scene has volume, right? So I will just duplicate this. I can shift it to the back where I punch a bit more holes. I can put it on the left, the right. Okay. So again, all these are your creative decision on your scene. So I can't specifically tell you where you should put all your volumes. So you can put them according to how you want your scene to look. Okay. The photometric. Maybe let's just try a warm color. See what kind of feel it gives. Yeah, it's not too bad. Or maybe let's just try the cool ones. Yeah, I think this fits the scene a bit more. Cool. Alright. Okay, so let's talk about how to properly render them. Because if you were to render them baked into your RGB, basically your beauty renders, it will be impossible for you to remove them or alter them, or even if I want to shift them or adjust them in comp, it will be very difficult because if they will be baked together with your environment. Okay, so if I go to my environment, if I were to render now, okay, I will have my volumetric baked into it. So I can't technically adjust this volumetric, right? So what is a good practice is we always render the volume as a separate render pass. Okay, so what I will do is I'll create a separate render pass, name this the volume. Okay, then in this volume, we will have all the collections of all the geometry, so all geo, because we need them there to be holding out the volumes, right? So we will create all geo, put in all my geometries. Okay, and then in this volume pass, I don't need all the other lights except my volume lights. So I will just prune all lights except volume. Okay, and all lights meaning all these lights that is not the ones that is my volumetric. Okay, so I'll prune them. Okay, then I'll do, okay, so if I view here now, technically all the lights should be gone except the volume lights and my characters and my scene. Okay, so if I render now, they should look just like that. Okay, and then the next thing we need to do is we need to make sure our geometries are being hold out, being met. So because we just need this volumetric to be plus on top of our renders, right? We don't need to plus the contribution on top as well. So what we'll do is we'll select this collection. Okay, go to your Arno, matte, right click, create absolute override. Okay, and go to the AI matte, make sure you check it. So now if I were to render, they will be hold out like that. So in Nuke, I will just plus this on top of my renders. And then in Nuke, I can change the color, I can adjust the exposure however I want. Okay, then you must be thinking, how do I remove this from my main pass? Okay, because now if I were to render my set, it will still have the volumetric there, right? Okay, so first thing we need to do is we need to remove the volume lights. So we just prune volume lights. Okay, make sure we put in the volume lights. Okay, okay, it'll be gone. For some reason you want to keep the volume like there to be affecting your scene, and you still don't want to you don't want the volumes to be contributed. What you can do is you can go into your render settings under the environment atmosphere, right click, create correction override for visible layer. So let's just choose the set. Okay, and then I'll create visible. So it'll create a render settings, and you'll put in the atmosphere override within this render pass. Okay, so I can specifically, so now by default it doesn't have the volume. So if I were to render, it shouldn't give me the volume. So just press enter. Okay, so let's say I do not prune the volume lights, right? The lights are still there. And if I were to render, you see that the volumes are not appearing because technically in this set pass, there is no atmosphere being added. So what we can do is we can do this for our character pass, or alternatively, you can disable the atmosphere on your main. Basically, let me just I want to break connection here. Okay, so we can break connection. So basically, the overall scene does not have the atmosphere, and we go into our volume pass view from there, and we add the atmosphere into this volume pass. I think that is the easier way to manage your scene. So you can just type AI atmos. Okay, then put in the values there. So 0.01. Okay, so now if I render this pass, I should get my volumes. And then if I were to render my set, so I don't need this render settings anymore. Let me just delete this. Okay, refresh. Okay, now render. I get my set as it is. Then after that, in Nuke, we will just plus the volume on top of our renders. Yep, I think that's it for today. Yeah, so that's how we can create all these volumes in Maya, and how you should technically be using them as a separate pass and comp them on top of your renders. I mean, since we are talking about it, let me just quickly do a render and open up the Nuke script that we had, and I'll show you guys what it looks like after we plus in the volumes. Okay, give me a moment. I open up my Nuke. Okay, so this is the previous demo that we had for Deep, and yeah, if you want to check out how to do a basic deep compositing, please click on the link above. Okay, I will just save the volume renders. Just give me a moment. Just quickly save the EXR to the folder. Okay, then I'll go to my Nuke. I'll pull in my volume EXR. Okay. Okay, let's just work before the defocus so it's not so laggy. So what I will do is I will just double check, make sure it's correct. Okay, add the merge node, change the operation to plus, and then wire your volume on top of it. Then view from here. So there you go. So if in cases where you want your breakups to be more prominent, what you can do is you can go into the grids. Then you can reduce the gamma, so you can narrow down where you want your spotlight to be, or you can increase it if you want to increase the spread. Do any multiply adjustment. You can change the color even if you want, or you want to animate them. Let's say it's a disco, you can change the colors however you want. So yep, so that's how you should be using it. And let me just double check my alpha. This should be nothing. Yeah, so technically the volume has 0 alpha. So when you plus on top of your original renders, it still preserves the value of 1 in your alpha, which is good. You want to maintain alpha as 1. Cool. And then yeah, that's it. Thank you. And if the video is helpful to you, please press the like button. And if you've got any question, please comment on the comment section and ask me anything if you want. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please click the subscribe button. Thank you.